All right, so here we want to condense into a single logarithm this expression 3 times log of x plus 4 minus 2 times the log of 4y. Okay, so when we say condense into a single logarithm, we notice in the original problem there's two logs, right? Okay, so we have to combine these. Okay, so there's three rules for logarithms that we need to know. Okay, so the first one is the quotient or product rule. Okay, but remember, we're sort of going backwards here. Okay, so the product rule says that if there's one log and in the expression, there's two terms we multiply together, we can split them up and add them together, right? But you notice we can also go this way. Okay, so if we have two logs, okay, two different logs, and they're being added together, we can combine them as well into one log. Okay, now you got to be careful, right? If the sign between them is a plus, then we multiply the arguments together. Okay, what about if they're being divided, right? The quotient rule. Right? Then we have to subtract them together. Okay? And of course, there's always the power rule, which is sort of the rule that has the exponent in it, right? How do we deal with the exponent here? Okay. So remember, generally I wrote it, we go left to right, but also we can combine them and go from right to left, right? So what's the first thing we notice here? First thing we notice is the minus sign here, okay? So that means we want to use the quotient rule. So we're going to start with this guy, okay, and then sort of work our way to the left here. But there's one thing you got to remember, right? What about this 3 and this 2 here? Okay, so when we condense, we use the power rule first, okay? So remember, when we expand, we generally use a power rule last, okay? But when we condense, we want to use a power rule first. So what does that mean? It means this 3, right? It means that that 3 should come up and be the power of the x plus 4 term. And similarly, this 2 should come up and be the exponent for the 4y term. Now I'm going to put these in parentheses because you got to make sure that the squared applies to both terms here. Okay, so now that there's no coefficient, right, now we can combine these into one log. Now, once again, because of the minus, right, because of the minus here, we are going to use the quotient rule, which means we're going to take the log of the first term, which is x plus 4 cubed, and put it over the 4y squared. You notice there's only one log in the answer, right? It's not the log of this divided by the log of this. Okay, that's something that actually is not even a rule. Okay, so we have successfully combined everything into one log.